Hello everybody, I am Nanda Kishore and this is one of the walk-in aviaries that we have at Raga Foundation. I've been designing this for the past year. We had, this was previously a breeding setup for our conures. We had 160 enclosures here and we would house about 140 to 120 pairs of conures. But we moved them home and we wanted to make this into a large walk-in aviary for Australian birds. We might have a few other birds. We've not yet decided about what species to house here, but I'm now just working on the plantation aspect of it. Talking about the aviary, I'll first talk about the structural aspect of it. We have the dimensions are 90 feet in length, 36 feet wide, about 16 to 17 feet in the center, and about 12 to 13 feet on the sides depending on the topography of the soil. The walls go 6 feet into the ground so that rodents and snakes don't burrow through and get into the aviary. We've gone for green paint because it is soothing for the bird to have that color. We didn't want to go for a very dark green because it might look claustrophobic. So we've gone for a lighter green, and we have windows on either side, 4 feet windows on either side for cross ventilation. And when you look at the roof, we have 2 layers of galvanized iron mesh. One is 2 inches by 1 inch and another mesh on top which is ½ inch by ½ inch, so quarter inch by quarter inch, sorry. And sandwiched in between that is a shade net which filters out about 50% of the sunlight getting into the aviary. We have polycarbonate sheets which are strategically placed on the paths so that guests who come into the aviary are shielded from direct rain, to a certain extent even sunlight. But then the slits on either side see to that all the water and percolates into the beds where we have plants. Thereby we maximize the amount of water getting into the planter beds. I thought it's a nice idea. And another very nice aspect of this aviary is it faces east and west. So when we have sun rising in the east, we have the sun rays which fall in an angle to the west, and then when it sets in the west, the whole aviary is washed with sunlight, and sunlight is a free source of disinfecting the place, so we try to utilize it to the max. So that's pretty much about the structure. We have a walkway which goes around, which is concrete bed. It's so that people can not stray into the plants and just walk on this, and it's clean, it's easy to maintain. That's why we've gone for a concrete bed. We wanted to have a railing, but maybe eventually, not now. We have a ratio of monocots and dicots. The reason being, monocots are generally used by birds as nesting material, and they use dicots as a place to hide and shield themselves from sun and rain, and also as a real estate place to construct their nests. So for a simple way of explaining this is, monocots are the building material and the dicots are the site on which the house is constructed. So I'll take you around and show you various plants that we have here. Most of the plants here have some significance, either the medicinal or they're useful for the bird to construct its house, or we have some significance or the other in this aviary. So I'm going to make it into 2 parts because I think we have a lot of plants and explaining all of them will take a lot of time. So coming to the first plant here, it's basil or tulsi. You can see it has a lot of ants, and it also has a few insects on it, but I don't think it's very clear on the phone. Basil is a medicinal plant. Most birds tend to forage on it, and that's why we have this plant here. And I will plug this and show you. It produces this inflorescence which have little seeds, so finches tend to forage on them. It's a nice plant to have in the aviary. This is called the mother-in-law's tongue or the snake plant. It's supposed to be a snake repelling plant, and it also releases a lot of oxygen. So it's a nice plant to have. Birds don't forage on this. It's just a filler but the plant has some significance. Okay, and these are balsams, flowering plants. And I'll show you another plant which is nice, is this plant. It's got little yellow flowers that come like this. Okay, this is edible by humans also, and birds also tend to forage on this. I'm not sure if it has any medicinal value, but they tend to forage on this. Then we have this plant which is Super Napier. It is actually a fodder plant that we use in our farm for cattle feed. But here it is used for a lot of birds like finches to use these leaves for as nesting material. And the other plant that we have here is, you can see, we have bitter gourd. I'll try to see if we have one plant, one fruit. Here we have a semi-ripe bitter gourd. Now this is a great fruit because if it is raw, it's edible by humans. But if it is ripe like this, it becomes a great source of enrichment and nutrition for my birds, because the seeds are edible. But then if it bursts open, I mean if they don't forage on this, it just bursts open and the seeds will again germinate into new bitter gourd plants, thereby forming a nice canopy. You can see the canopy, it's so nice. Imagine you have some quails in this, some button quails or Californians or something like that. It's a great place for them to run around and hide. Yeah? You can see a lot of flowering, which means a lot of fruit is going to come. We have one papaya plant here, so eventually the birds might get some papaya fruit. This is another plant that we have here, periwinkle. I like this plant. I like the flowers. Birds don't forage this on this plant, but it's only a filler to cover the soil. Yeah. This, my friends, is one of my favorite plants. It is lemongrass. It's a monocot, and the significance of this plant in this aviary is, when birds kind of use this leaf as nesting material, it gives out this aroma, which is a natural mosquito repellent. So when we have plants like this, it's free pest control. Mosquitoes are not in the aviary. It's natural, safe. We don't need to use any chemical methods of getting rid of mosquitoes. The smell is strong. We have two subspecies of this. This one has a lot of foliage. You can see it's nice bushy, but the smell is not very strong. I'll show you another subspecies where we have lesser foliage, but the aroma is much more pungent. And then we have some more basil here. I'll show you another special plant here, is this plant. This is called pan. Pan is mostly consumed by all Indians after they have their grub, because it helps us digest the curry that we eat. Again, this plant is amaranthus. This is a beautiful plant because the leaves are edible by humans. Birds tend to forage on the leaf and on the inflorescence. You can see it's got a beautiful inflorescence, and they have tiny seeds in this. You can see the pollen on my hand, a little yellow pollen, and when they ripen, they form these little seeds, which finches tend to really enjoy eating. But not only finches, I've also noticed a lot of macaws and cockatoos and greys, which tend to spend a lot of time foraging on these leaves. We also have some insects which grow on it, which can become a source of protein. This is another plant that produces little blackish orangish seeds. You have some unripe ones here, which are green in color. we've noticed that birds tend to forage on these also. But one thing you will notice as we walk around is we have a lot of grasses which are growing, stuff like this. You can see grasses. These are all great for a lot of birds to forage on these seeds. I'll show you more. I have these little tiny millet sort of plants, grass seeds. Birds really like them. And then we have this plant. It's called the tricolored sea hibiscus. Sorry, I'll show you why they call it the tricolored sea hibiscus. You have the red leaf, you have the white leaf, and you have the green leaf. I mean 3 colors in this. It's a great plant because it forms a really nice canopy, a really nice place for birds to hide. The leaves are, you can see, a majority of the leaves have been eaten by insects, which means the birds can eat those insects and there's enough protein source. The birds also tend to forage on the leaves, and the leaves grow quite big actually. I'll show you some really big leaves. I really like this plant. Then here we have another plant. It's called, I'll just tell you the name, some kirai. This thing is, I got this plant from the forest department of Telangana, from a nursery of forest department. Sorry. And this thing, if you Google this multivitamin plant, you will definitely see this leaf. I'll show you the leaf. It's got a little white patch on it, and it's got a little white patch. It is it's very rich in multivitamins. It is called Tawasi Keerai, Tavasi Keerai, Tawasi Keerai. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember the name, so I had to Google it. This thing is readily accepted by birds. You don't need to coax them to eat. We've given it to a lot of different species of birds. The moment you throw it into the enclosure, the birds tend to go for it. If you can get your hands on this plant, do get it. It's a really good plant. You can also propagate them just by putting some cuttings. You don't need to have the root. You can just put the cutting into the soil and it will start growing. We have some more basil. This is another beautiful plant that we have in the aviary. You can see it's a monocot. I'll tell you the difference between monocots and dicots. This, you can see, is beautiful. It can, finches will love to make a nest out of this. We want to make it into a nice bush where other birds can also come and hide, or some reptiles can hide, whatever we have, some insects. And this, I feel, is the most significant plant in my aviary, though it's not for birds. It is a weed that was available all through India about a decade ago, but I don't know, global warming or deforestation, whatever, I don't know why, but then this plant started dying out. We found a few of these plants and we've put them in our aviary here. You can see their little inflorescence growing here. I hope it pollinates and we have a lot of these plants. The speciality of this plant is it is the only plant on which a certain jewel beetle thrives. So we've been losing, because we've lost these plants, we've been losing those jewel beetles also. But we have a few plants and a few jewel beetles in the farm outside. So I hope that this thing will propagate soon and we can introduce those jewel beetles also into this aviary. It will be something that, and eventually we can again release them out if we can propagate this plant even in the farm, but it will be a safe place to have the beetles here. This is called Chinese spinach, edible by humans and birds. It has these beautiful pink flowers with yellow pollen. You can see. You keep harvesting it, it keeps growing. It's a beautiful plant and a lot of birds tend to forage on this plant. We have cannons. Again, not very important. This is a wild cannon. It has little red flowers. It's just a filler but I like this plant, so I just have it here. It's not toxic for the birds. We have some red fountain grass. This is green, but then it will eventually turn really bright red. Again, used for birds to forage, and the inflorescence is good for foraging. The leaf is good for constructing a nest. Again, please do pay attention. We have a lot of grasses and a lot of little seed growing everywhere. You can see how beautiful the tricolored hibiscus is growing here. See hibiscus. This is another plant. It's called the calcium plant. It's got a little four-sided stem, tendrils and leaves like this. It's supposedly very rich in calcium. You can see this is how it looks. Do have this plant so that your birds have enough access to calcium, phytocalcium. And this is a kind of a daisy. You have flowers like this. I'm sure all of you would have seen it on the roadside. It is supposed to be antifungal, anticoagulant, and if the bird has a wound, you can just crush this leaf and put it on the wound. It works really well, and because it's herbal, you don't have any side effects. Again, some more amaranthus, beautiful. Here we have, this is another plant, some canons here. This is one of my favorite plants in the aviary. This is called the umbrella grass. The beauty of this grass is that you cannot kill this grass. You keep plucking it, it will keep growing. It gets this beautiful inflorescence somewhere here. Little seeds that come from the tip of the stem or leaf or whatever you call it. Birds love this. It's strong enough to hold a finch from falling down. They can sit on this and eat. And these leaves also form a great nesting spot, material for nesting, So it's a beautiful plant. Grows really big. It is still young. They grow to about 3 feet, 3.5 feet in height. Beautiful plant to have. Here you can see we have some marigold plants growing, but it's too small for you to see now. You have a lot of grass again here. A lot of millet sort of things growing here. You can see. So it's very important that you have a collection of different millets and grass seeds in your facility, especially if you are leaving a lot of finches and things like that to grow here. You can see how big the leaf is. In fact, this is not the biggest leaf. I'll show you a much bigger leaf. Here you can see how big the leaf is. This is great for birds to forage. I'll give it to my goats to eat. So this is again Super Napier. The beauty of this plant is you keep chopping it off at the bottom. The clump keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it actually grows quite tall, so it looks like elephant grass. I'll show you the difference between a monocot and a dicot. This is a monocot where you have the midrib and you have the veins which go and they converge at the tip. Okay, so this typically a monocot. This is a monocot. I'll show you how a dicot is from the same leaf that I plucked. You have the midrib and you have the veins which go and join the periphery of the leaf, not the tip. This is how you identify a dicot. Simple way of making out the difference between a monocot and a dicot. Okay, most monocots are just used for nesting, as nesting material, and most dicots, you can see this beautiful foliage where birds can shield themselves from sunlight, rain, and also form nests. And this is another very significant plant in our aviary. This is called the Singapore cherry. The leaves, the flower, and the fruit are edible. You can see how nicely the crown of branches have grown on top. It's a great place for birds to hide and protect themselves from various elements. And this is only about 1.5 years old plant. You can already see that we've chopped it off around that place earlier, and they're again touching the roof. So we'll have to again further chop it off, and again it will become a bush. So it's a great plant to have in a large walk-in aviary. This plant is called Colocasia. It's a little tuber that grows underneath the soil like a little yam. Humans tend to forage on the yam also, on the tuber, but birds, because they can't forage what's underground, go for the leaf. It's edible, it's very nutritious. Again, little more Chinese spinach. We scatter the plants everywhere because we want them to, like, even if there's a territory for a certain bird, the other birds can access the same plant in a different part of the aviary. Again, Singapore cherry, you can see how nicely it is grown. It's a great plant to have. Grows really nice and thick, and it also bears this beautiful fruit. This is a semi-ripe fruit. You can see the color. I'll show you some ripe fruits also. Here, one more, slightly more ripe one. So here you can see the fruits. They're really tasty, really nice, edible by almost all birds and humans. Again, beautiful amaranthus bush. You can see how nicely it's formed. And I forgot one plant. This is called bluebells. It's actually a climber. It grows really fast. We want it to grow onto the truss system on top, so that the birds have some camouflage even when they're sitting on the trusses. And it gives us beautiful flowers, beautiful blue flowers. Few birds tend to forage on the flower also, but it's a nice plant to have in the aviary. Grows really fast, really thick. This is another plant that we have. I'm not sure of the name, but I've seen it all over Loro Park's breeding center. It grows into a fairly big bush, but here it is not grown very good because it does not have access to enough sunlight. It's competing with sunlight from this Singapore cherry plant, but birds tend to forage on this plant too. Again, the same plant I showed you. It also has little fruits here, edible by birds. This I'm told is oregano, but then we call it vamu in Telugu. The birds I've not seen them readily forage on this leaf, but it's got medicinal value. Hence, we have this plant in the aviary. We have balsams, these flowers. The seeds, they're beautiful because you press them and then they burst like a little bomb, and you have seeds inside, you can see. This is another plant. It's actually a weed. It has little yellow flowers and it grows really fast. It's a very good ground cover, and I have noticed that a lot of quails tend to go underneath this foliage and then lay their eggs, and so it's always camouflaged, and the birds can brood and hatch their eggs underneath this ground cover plant. So that's why we have this here. Again, more lemongrass. You can see how nicely the bitter gourd is growing. I'm going to take a break here, and I'll continue the remaining in the next video.